Welcome back, Summoners. It's Chris and Fish that's going to bring you the remaining of the action that's going to happen tonight. This is day 1, week number 2 of the summer split of the Garena Premier League 2014, and we already got a couple of games out of the system already. So it is going to be AHQ Fighters going up against Saigon Jokers as the third match for tonight.
Yeah, we've already seen Machi Esports go up against Saigon, Fantastic 5. And we've seen Imperial Pro Team go up against Bangkok Titans in the match. Afterwards, both games were incredibly close, and I believe this third game of the night will be incredibly close as well. As you said, AHQ Fighters go up against the Saigon Jokers, two incredibly strong teams. One of the teams, the sister team to AHQ Esports Club, finally joining their sister team in the Garena Premier League, and will be facing off against one of the league's veterans, the Saigon Jokers, who have been consistently the 4th place team, the cursed team of Southeast Asia, the cursed team of Southeast Asia here, consistently 4th place in the Garena Premier League, but surprisingly do well in these qualifying games, and were one of the teams that represented Southeast Asia in the Season 2 World Championships.
Yep, exactly. And before we continue talking about the teams and for the matchup that's going to be happening in a very short while, let's talk about the little question that we have for our viewers out there. Do send us your answers at hashtag GPL Esports, either on Twitter or on Facebook. And if we choose your answer, then you stand to win yourself the Tango Twisted Fate. And the question for this week is, if LOL is made into a movie, which actor / actress would you like to see in that movie? And who would you choose?
I have no idea who to choose, but here we already have somebody who's posted. This was a question inspired from Reddit. TNSIQ posted this up on the League of Legends subreddit there. Chase is the equivalent of Henry Cavill here, and you can see there's quite a similar resemblance there. So, as Chris said, tweet or Facebook us your answers with the hashtag GPL Esports, and if you do use Facebook as your platform for the answer to this question, make sure you set your post to a public post so that we can view your answers, and if one of your answers is chosen and we like it, we will be able to give you guys that Tango Twisted Fate skin for the Southeast Asian or Singapore and Malaysian servers, I should say. And also, if you are from Singapore and Malaysia, actually if you're from any of these Southeast Asian countries, do head over to the Talk channel. That is the esports room on Talk, where after every single game a question will be asked in the chat, and if you're one of the first to answer that question correctly, you stand yourself a chance to win some attractive prizes there as well. So do tweet us, Facebook us at hashtag GPL Esports, and tune into the Talk Esports channel. You can win some fantastic prizes there. So we are going to head into the game between these two teams very shortly, just waiting for the last few players to ready up. So what do you think about this match between AHQ Fighter and Saigon Jokers?
I think it's going to be extremely close, like what we saw in game number 1 between Machi Esports and Saigon Fantastic 5. And if you look at it in game number 1, it was very, very close in the first 25 minutes or so. And it was Machi Esports that finally broke through the barrier, and everything just snowballed past that. And for this game, I kind of expect the same. But the distinctive thing about these two teams is that if you look at Saigon Jokers, for our viewers who have been, joining us for the first time for today, or you haven't been watching GPL in a while now, Saigon Jokers and Saigon Fantastic 5 have sort of an internal swap with some of their members over here. That's why we do see members such as Nix Water, who was previously playing on Saigon Fantastic 5, now rejoining Saigon Jokers, and Goni now on Saigon Fantastic 5, now on Jokers as well. So with all these little internal swaps, we see a different play style from Saigon Jokers now, because if you look at it, right now they're a bit more defensive, and they like to group up after a while once they get a couple of gold in and get a couple of items in. And whereas for HQ Fighters, they have pretty much a very different and very distinctive play style, where they like to fight all the time. They like to bring the skirmishes to any teams that are on the opposing side, and that might actually hurt Saigon Jokers a fair bit. And I'm very curious as to see how how they can play defensively against this sort of aggression, because when we see the teams that actually beat out AHQ Fighters in either the promotional tournament or in last week when they went up against the Taipei Assassins, it's those moments where they punish out AHQ Fighters when they sort of get overconfident or get overzealous, and they just dive right into the fray. So,
I mean, Saigon Jokers were originally known for their poke comp team compositions and also their split comp teams compositions when they had QTV back on the team, I believe it was. And Nixwater him paired up very well, I believe, in the old days. And Nixwater, he is the most versatile player in the Green Premier League as well. I believe in his first split in the Green Premier League, he played over 42 unique champions in one split, which was an incredible amount for any professional League of Legends player. And he did very well in each and every one of those champions. And most notably, he's very famous for his Nidalee, who has now become a very flavor of the month or flavor of the season pick so far. And he's also very famous for his unorthodox LeBlanc. Unorthodox LeBlanc and his Kog'Maw. In fact, both mid laners for the Vietnamese teams are very famous for their poke combo. But we are going into that champion selected. By unorthodox LeBlanc, I mean second item Lich Bane LeBlanc, which he used to pick up and he used a lot in Season 3 as well. So we are in Champions Select. We're going to head over to, we're going to bring that up on your screens very shortly. Let's see what these two teams have to offer in this third game of the night.
I just want to point out for a fact that HQ Fighters he's kind of like the Nixwater, except that he is up in the top lane and, you know, he's not from Vietnam, obviously he's from Taiwan. Because if you look at his champion pool, he has a much more distinctively different champion pool than most top laners, because he likes to play stuff like Malphite up in the top lane, which we have not seen ever since Season 2 and even a couple of very rare matches. And he likes to play Fiora as well, so I'm very curious as to see what's going to be his choice of top laner over here. And let's look at some of the bans over here. Nidalee, Kill, and Kassadin taken out on the side of HQ Fighter. All these picks targeted at Nixwater, and Braum just to play as well as Yasuo taking on the side of Saigon Joker. So it looks like we are not going to see the Mustache Man, being played in action for tonight as for a short while. But that being said, we might see the other Mustache guy come back to play in the form of Gragas.
You can already see Nidalee, Kale, and Kassadin being banned out against the Saigon Jokers. Not surprised that 3 of these bans being targeted towards Nixwater, one of the star players here for the Saigon Jokers. Goni here could potentially pick up Gragas. Gragas was the signature top laner and the secret top laner for the pre-season of the first split of the 2014 season of the Korean Premier League. We are going to see Gragas being played once again by the Vietnamese team. The Saigon Jokers are going to pick that one up. It was a very signature tactic from the Vietnamese teams where they played Gragas up in the top lane as a tank bruiser champion. We've seen Brutalizer picked up on him a lot of times. We've seen a lot of tank items picked up on him. But then they reworked Gragas, made him to fit that bruiser tank role a bit more. And since then, we haven't seen him so much in competitive play. Now we're going to be able to see the Saigon Jokers, the pioneers of that tank Gragas, up in the top lane, pick him up once again. Safety will be picking up Pantheon in the jungle. HQ's top laner has picked up Lee Sin here, so he should be swapping that one around with Lantier, who is hovering over Jax right now. Wouldn't be surprised if they do pick up Jax. Jax was one of the top lane picks that a lot of the Taiwanese teams defaulted to in the early 2014 season whenever Shyvana was not available for them to pick up. Albus has locked in Thresh. He'll be giving that one over to Ysera in the bottom lane.
Yep, and for Ysera to be able to grab hold of that Thresh pick is definitely a good sign for the fighters, just because of their overall playstyle. And I think that, they have some sort of secret training when it comes to the support picks over here. On the side of HQ, on their main squad, they do have Green Tea, who is pretty much renowned all over Taiwan for his fresh plays, and not too surprising for Ysera now to be the one to lock that up for himself. So if you look at HQ Fighter and their composition so far, it's a very solid engage-like composition. Which means on the side of Saigon Jokers, they need some form of disengage. So that's going to come in the form of the explosive cast as well as the tidal wave. So very good pickups on their own end. But I'm very curious about the Jinx pick though, because it's going to be very dangerous when you have the fresh death sentence potential, as well as the fact that it's going to be very difficult to try to run run out of the counter strike when that stun lands out of you. So let's see how Saigon Jokers are going to be able to play this out. So right now, HQ Fighters looking for their mid laner as well as their AD carry, I believe. And I am not going to be too surprised if RD goes back to something like Illusion, which he has done pretty well over the promotional tournament and in week number 1 as well. And for Albus to go back to LeBlanc will be something that he will be very comfortable with as well. So HQ Fighters, if they go for the Illusion, and the LeBlanc at the end, it's a whole bunch of comfort picks.
Can have to see what they do lock in here. So it's going to be Lucin and Lulu being picked up by AHQ Fighter here. They will have Lee Sin and Jax, that buddy system combo that was made very popular in Season 3 and now early 2014 season. Saigon Joker's Archie here, very well-known veteran in the Greater Premier League, represented the Southeast Asian scene to go to the Paris All-Stars as one of the All-Stars representatives alongside QTV, his former teammate as well. They had a pretty decent showing, I could say, over there, and it does look like Nick's Water will be picking up Ziggs, and Ziggs is a very comfortable pick for Nick's Water here, especially because he started playing Ziggs well before the quality of life buffs were given to Ziggs's Ziggs's abilities to deal more damage to minions. Probably a little bit later than Brawly started picking him up before those quality of life changes to Ziggs, and he played it very comfortably in the Greater Premier League, had a lot of great showings on him, and now that Ziggs has been changed so that he has that quality of life clear, quality of life AoE clear on minions, whereby most of his abilities deal extra damage to minions, he should be able to have a good showing on that champion, especially in the summer split of the 2014 season.
Yeah, and I think overall, if you look at the compositions for both teams over here, HQ Fighter has pretty much wrapped up with the very aggressive team composition over here. Every single one of them has some form of way to actually start the fight going. And, you know, for Elvis to not pick up the LeBlanc and go for the Lulu instead, kind of makes sense as well, because you can still use Lulu for her utility. You know, you can use the Glitter Lance to slow people down, and then use the Wild Growth as well to give all these initiators a bit more beef to their team fight so that they can stay longer for a bit more longer. But if you look at what Saigon Jokers have in response, they have Gragas, they have you know, Nami as well. So a lot of disengage is going to come from their end, and having Jinx as well. If you look at it overall, they can just siege up turrets without going for those fights, and it's going to be, you know, who brings the fight first, and if Saigon Jokers is going to be able to somewhat respond to that at the end of the day. So very distinctive playstyles and very distinctive team compositions being drafted up for both teams, and very curious as to see what is going to happen, but I'm going to predict that it's going to be a relatively close one.
So we are finally in, or on Summoner's Rift, I could say, between these two teams. AHQ Esports Club, AHQ Fighter here going up against these Saigon Jokers. Let's have a look and see how this game will pan out. Let's run through the lineup very quickly. Jax up against Gonies. Gonies, Gragas up in the top lane. He's picked up a Doran's Ring start here, so not a pure tank build coming in from Goni up in the top lane. Lantier on Lee Sin going up against Safeties. Pantheon in the jungle. It's going to be Albus on Lulu going up against Nick's Water on Ziggs in the mid lane. RD and Nisera in the bottom lane pairing up with that lower lane. Lucian Thrush combo going up against the Jinx and Nami of Archie and Uzi down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and you know, for the Saigon teams, they have defaulted back to the Pantheon pick, because if you look at the holy quadruple of the junglers right now, it's revolving around Lee Sin, Elise, and Evelyn, and now recently dropped out was Kha'Zix, and you know, they have no qualms about giving out these junglers at all, because they know for a fact that they can default back to that Pantheon pick. And in week number 1, the Saigon teams have played Pantheon to a very good result. They have made use of their global pressure to always make something happen and then translate that into a global objective. But this time around, they have to be very careful of how they choose and how they time the Grand Skyfall, because if he jumps into the fray, he is in danger of getting locked up by either the Counter-Strike or by the Wild Growth or even stuff like the Death Sentence as well. So it's a very dangerous moment for safety, and given the fact that it's very disengaged-centric for the side of Saigon Jokers, I'm not too sure how they're going to make full use of this Pantheon pick to sort of create the zones and to make the pressure happen.
Lancy here going for a very delayed invade in onto the red buff of the Saigon Jokers here. Saigon Jokers had no vision of this at all, and at the same time, Jax is taking away their own red buff. So this means that even if even if Safety wanted to go for the counter jungle, in the red buff of the AHQ Fighter side, there'd be nothing for him to take. And that's exactly what he's going to find out in a few seconds. It's going to be Jax who struts away with the red buff of his own. Safety here, still trying to find and see if he's farming up any of the minions. Said he was just fine to double goals here. We'll be able to take those away for himself. We do see a lane swap though. It is going to be Jinx and Nami going into this moment. This might be a huge mistake though. Jax has teleported down into the bottom lane. He is level 2. We'll be able to pick up a few minions here, but here comes Pantheon. They may be going for a dive here. No, they decide to not to do just that. Jax should have that Counter-Strike available. Yes, he does have the Counter-Strike and Leap Strike available. Might be a little bit too risky to dive onto this. Look at this. Sarah's even come in to join the fun.
Yeah, and this is actually a strategy that we have seen the fighters pull off against Taipei Assassins in their debut game in week number 1, which is to predict the the buff swaps over here, and then letting either your dual lane or in this case the top laner for HQ fighters to go for the remaining red buff, which means that your opposing jungler is only gonna have that one buff start. And what this means is that there's gonna be that double buff advantage.
Lancer in the mid lane gets the gank off onto Nick's water. We'll get a little bit of damage now. Burn some of his mana using that satchel charge, but all in all doesn't get too much out of that. In the top lane though, it's gonna be FRD here. Sorry, RD going up against Goni, using Lucian to go up against a Gragas. This will be a very interesting lane matchup, especially because Thresh has left him alone up in that top lane. Essentially, it's gonna be a Lucian top with a Gragas Thresh bot lane duo. And the good thing about this duo in the bottom lane is that Jax and Thresh duo. Now it's going to be Lancer who comes in for a gank. We'll dodge that bubble. He can jump onto Archie here. We'll get the slowdown onto both Fuji.
Oh, wow.
Archie gets locked down, takes a lot of damage. Ignite is sticky. Death Sentence will pull him back in, but nobody has the range or the gap closers to finish him off. Safety's now going to wrap around. Nick's Waters coming in for the gank zone. Lancer will get knocked back by the side. First blood will go over to Goni, who teleported down to the fight as well. Saigon Jokers with a 4-man stack for the counter gank coming in against HQ Fighter. Pick up first blood. They'll be able to take the first tower of the game as well at this bottom lane. I was about to say Jax and Thresh only had the advantage in the bottom lane because Jax had that red buff, would be able to engage it anytime he wanted to, but with that counter gank, they've completely lost any advantage of all. Now next one in mid lane, still trying to bully out Mr. Albus here.
Yeah, and you know what happened down at the bottom lane is the fact that HQ Fighters overcommitted to that 3-man kill attempt onto Archie over there. And that was something that happened in week number 1 as well. Sometimes they just get overzealous. They play this high risk, high reward play style, and that kind of just backfired onto them. But I have to commend for Saigon Jokers, very good response from them, for Nyx to move down to the bottom lane, and for Goni to use the teleport as well. So it was just a very easy counter initiation from then on. And because of that, Archie was able to take down the turret as well, which means that there's going to be a whole bunch of global goals swinging to the advantage of the Jokers here. So great opening from them.
Now we will get to see Jax finally laid up against Goni in the top lane. Lancer there got a decent gank off in that bottom lane, but they just didn't have the range. If that was Lucian instead of Jax, they would not have been able to lock down Jinx with the Counter-Strike. They would have been able to get that extra damage off and also the ranged DPS off when Archie inevitably flashed away from the gank that came in from Lancer there. However, Saigon Jokers with a great turnaround there. Understood that the gank was taking place in the bottom lane. Were able to rotate fantastically. Even Nyx wanted to came down to help out. Archie now still in a little bit of trouble. Lancer will flash over the choppers. It will be Jax, however, who is not quite able to get over there, but Lancer gets the execute off with a great Sonic Wave resonating strike combo. Then Archie completely gets caught with his pants down, and that's the danger with running Jinx as your AD carry. So now you're going to see Goni jump in onto Ysera here. Safety's going to try and wrap around as well. Ysera will get locked down by the Pantheon, stun there. Here comes the Death Sentence, so we'll lock it down. RD getting a lot of damage down. Safety will get stun locked by the Counter-Strike. He gets taken down by RD. Now Goni in a little bit of trouble. It was Ysera that took quite a bit of damage coming out of Goni there, but was successfully able to avoid imminent death if he was to stick around a bit longer. Now Lancer will rotate in over the Dragon Pick. There should be an easy Dragon Pick up for HQ Fighter.
Yeah, it was a very clear miscommunication between Goni and Safety over there. Goni was trying to back off, but Safety jumped right back into the fight there. And now we might see another fight come out.
He gets bursted down incredibly low. He will get taken out. And Sarah gets saved by Albus with that wild growth. Now Goni is the target here. Will flash away, but Lancer jumps over to a ward. Goni one more auto attack. The piercing light will be enough coming out of RD there. As next water as well has to run away with his tail between his legs there, living with a sliver of health. Safety now trying to battle over this blue buff with 4 low health members of HQ Fighter. Albus trying to wrap around the side as well. Jack's gonna step on a chopper, doesn't have the mana to leap strike over. Does get the, do you see the slow coming out from Lulu, slowing both Archie and Safety. Now it's gonna be them trying to push in onto this team. There goes the zap, lands onto RD, will get jumped out by Safety, gets instantly kicked back by Lance here. Very surprised that they decided to disengage that fight. They had more health, and it definitely had the capabilities to kill both Safety and Goni there. I'm not sure why they decided to back away and kick them away.
I think it's mainly because of the fact that they knew that Saigon Jokers, their members have respawned, and there is that little risk of Saigon Jokers just collapsing onto them. But despite that said though, they got the Dragon and they got a couple of kills out of that. So with that swing and that chain of events, now the advantage is going over to HQ Fighters' end. And we know for a fact that their playstyle relies so heavily on skirmishes that any form of goal advantages that they have early on, they will be looking to translate that. But that being said though, HQ Fighters, they sometimes have a very shaky and rocky mid to late game. So if Saigon Jokers can hold out long enough, then they can, if they can just farm up and find the right skirmishes at the right time, then they definitely still have the capabilities to come back. And given the fact that they do have that Ziggs in their team composition, it's a very high possibility that they can do so.
Let's take a look at where the gold stands between these two teams right now. HQ Fighter about 2,500 gold ahead of the Saigon Jokers, 3 kills to 1. SAJ do have a single tower advantage right now due to the 4-man stack play they made in the bottom lane earlier. Archie though has had one tough game so far, sitting on 45 minions compared to the 75 of his counterpart RD on Lucian right now. And Archie, he's more famous for playing champions like Ezreal, Lucian, very high mobile attack damage carries. Rarely see him, well, he has played Jinx 1 or 2 times, but we rarely see him on these less mobile champions here. Now Lance might get the wrap around, he does get the slow that instantly flashes away from Lance here. There wanted to have nothing to do with the double buff Lee Sin. Now was getting the gank onto it, but as I was saying, Archie more famous for those highly mobile attack damage carries. Rarely plays those hyper carries that have very limited mobility. I believe it's showing in this game the disadvantage he has on those champions. He's 0-1-1 and 30 minions behind RD right now.
I want to build on the fact that when you're talking about Archie on Jinx, it's sort of like his pocket pick for him to go for this hyper carry, but most of the time he's very reliant on his teammate to get him rolling. But so far in this game, I'm not too sure whether it's practice or the fact that he hasn't been playing Jinx for a while now. He has been constantly caught out in very awkward positions and sort of, just made things somewhat difficult for his team. But that being said, he still is going to be able to come back into the game later on in the stages when he finds the team fight. But that is granted saying that HQ Fighters don't smother them out before that. So let's see how things are going to progress from now on. We even see Arb in the top lane, the very instantaneous flash away means that he doesn't want anything to do with the fights whatsoever.
Jax here still farming up in this top lane. We do see their HQ Fighter were able to take down the bot lane outer turret. Albus here on Lulu, not quite bullying Nixwater in this mid lane. He is about 10 minions ahead of Nixwater right now with a minion wave to spare, but we saw in the first game of the night how Lulu was so dominant in that mid lane for Optus, but was just not able to secure the game for his team for the Saigon Fantastic 5 against Machi there. But having a look at this game so far, it's still HQ Fighter that are 3,000 gold ahead of the Saigon Jokers. Neither team has decided to go for a decisive play after that dragon fight though. I do believe it will be HQ Fighter that do make that next move. Dragon will be up in about a minute's time. We still have Jax farming up at the top lane, and look how much pressure Thresh and Lucian are putting in onto this bot lane turret. They know that safety's up in this top lane, pushing the top tower with Archie here, and they are able to take down that top lane turret. However, that gives so much freedom for Lucian and Thresh to push this bot lane and effectively zone out Goni the way they are now.
Yeah, and not to mention for the fact that there has been that very huge change coming in from Gragas, which means that Barrel Roll is not going to do that much wave clear anymore. It means that he needs to change a couple of spells for the wave to be effectively cleared out. And you know, for fighters over here, they're just playing this very, you know, smartly and diligently in this one. But now we actually see this 4-man roam coming in from the Saigon Jokers. They moved out from the from the top lane to the mid lane. I thought that they were trying to do something cheeky, but in the end, they didn't do so. And then moving down to the bottom lane again without achieving anything much. And I think the other key point to take note was that Safety has yet to use the Grand Skyfall in this game to create some sort of global pressure.
And he immediately gets caught out as soon as you say that AHQ fighter catch him while he's taking down his blue buff there. And he used the Dark Patch to get away very safely. And this time so nicely with the fact that Dragon has respawned. And at the same time, Jax was able to take down the top lane turret for AHQ fighter. They pick up 3 objectives and a kill here. Blue buff, Dragon, and top lane outer turret all taken down by AHQ fighter. And they pick up a kill in onto Safety to seal the deal for themselves there.
Money in the bank as we go into a replay to see actually what happened at jungle area. How Safety just got caught out. Ysera now with death sentence, and yeah, pretty much clean up. A nice simple kill over there. But now AHQ fighters, like you mentioned, they always are at the right place at the right time. Taking out the blue buff, the top lane and the dragon, and now sitting at a 5,000 goal lead against the Saigon Jokers. 15 minutes, 14 minutes, close to 15 minutes of the game. So very worrisome sign for the Jokers over here.
Definitely a very clean kill for them there. And something interesting to note as well is that we do see Safety's picked up the Boots of Mobility on Pantheon in the jungle. Something which, it's not uncommon. Some junglers do end up picking that one up, but we are approaching about the 15-minute mark, and most of the outer turrets have already been taken down. When you pick up the Boots of Mobility, it really means that you want to roam around a lot, get a lot of ganks off, and pressure as many lanes as possible. The laning phase is effectively over and has been over for quite some time. The Boots of Mobility might not pay off for them very well. Goni now does get caught out by Thresh. He might actually get taken down here, the top side of the jungle. And we will see Lantier actually is able to take it down. Lantier gets the wild growth to escape to safety there as Ysera tries to throw out that final death sentence to catch off either Nixwater or Safety there. But it did look like another catch coming in from Ysera to take down Goni. We have to have a look at see what happens there in a bit. But once again, HQ Fighter creating picks in Saigon Joker's jungle.
Yep, like we mentioned, if there is a fight, they will take it. And Ysera might be catching on to Safety over here.
This might be another, gets the flay off onto Safety. Safety now will get hit by the death sentence and the counter strike. Lantier will come here for the epic finale there and takes down Safety once again. HQ Fighter still creating picks in the jungle of the Saigon Jokers. This gives Artie so much freedom to split push the bottom lane alone. Zig's ultimate has to be used to clear out the minion wave, and Artie could have potentially still taken down the turret if Nixwater wasn't there to siege, but Ysera has been playing so well, creating picks in Saigon Joker's jungle.
Yep,
and secured 3 objectives for his team.
That's right, and you know, it's just the fact that, oh, hold on, we might see the catch onto Goni actually.
Misses that ultimate, but still was able to get the flay down, saving his death sentence. Won't land it, even though there's a minion wave nearby. Goni should be able to be taken down here. Lantier gets the execute with the Sonic Wave and kicks away Pantheon. Now here comes the wraparound for the Saigon Jokers. Pantheon all has been used, will land onto nobody, but they're able to pincer Jax and Lisa, taking both of them down for the double kill, going in on over to Archie there. But this will give Artie freedom to push down this bot lane inner turret.
Yep, so overall not too bad of a trade, even though it was a 2-for-1, but they got the global objective out of it. Not only the bottom lane, but in the mid lane as well. And this is the control that AHQ Fighter likes to go for. Every time they get the early game rolling up in the sleeves, what they will often do is to extend out the wall line and then catch people off in their own jungle as they pass by, like what we saw earlier.
Now we're going to see Artie here dueling out both Goni and Nixwater. Here comes Uzi as well as a 3-on-1 situation. Let's see what he can do. Piercing line, almost taking out Goni by himself. Now Safety coming from the wraparound as well. They want to take down Artie here. Does have that Boots of Mobility, which does nicely get interrupted by Artie there. He's able to fend off 4 people all on his own.
Yeah, that goes to show how far ahead he is in the curve now. And you know, I wanted to say that, but he's only having that bloodthirster, and now Uzi gets caught out. He is just gonna go down over here. No, he flashes over the wall to get to safety. But
no, Albus
oh!
with the snipe. Good lance to pick him up from a mile away as well. Great play coming in from HQ Fighter. It's gonna be RD now taking a little bit of damage coming out of Jinx there, but nothing to worry about. The rest of his teammates are there to back him up. Even Jax up in the top lane has that teleport available to join his team if he needs to. But Mr. Albus with the clutch glitter lance there to take down Uzi from a mile away.
Yup, definitely a fantastic pickup for Albus. Now 1-0 and 2, finally getting the kill. And you know, for RD as well, just fending off the 3-man Gek attempt down in the bomb lane, it's just gonna mean that it's gonna be very difficult for Saigon Jokers to actually zero in on anyone to try to find the kills. Now, if we look at it, Jax up in the top lane, finishing up the Trinity Force very, very quickly, and for RD as well, finishing his own Trinity Force. So tons of damage gonna come through for HQ Fighters, and Saigon Jokers forced to sit around and just play defensively for the time being. But I'm not too sure how long they can try to siege up and just hold on to their turrets, because HQ Fighters have been making fantastic rotations to make sure that they always get one objective and to get something out of all their little movements here. So what? Yeah, and what else is going to happen here is that Saigon Jokers, they really need to start making the picks happen over here, because Safety hasn't yet to use the Grand Skyfall to a very good effect. He has always jumped into the fray, but hasn't gotten a very good team fight off against the HQ Fighters, and that's something that they have been exploiting. And for HQ Fighters to now, they have slowed down their pace a little bit, trying to regroup out, maybe try to find the positioning for Saigon Jokers over here. What this just means is that HQ Fighters, they are very confident of their ability to actually close out the game here once they find Saigon Jokers caught in a bad position. Right now, RD still sticking around down in the bomb lane, and without much support from the teammates as well. We actually see Sarah now moving down to the bomb lane, but what this means is that they have all this liberty, all this vision up their sleeves, and Lantern takes out the dragon solo as well without any contest from Saigon Jokers. That's how afraid they are right now. They can't even leave their base at this extent.
You can see here Archie trying to make a play onto RD. RD getting taken out crazy, but Uzi's there to get the wrap around. Archie won't get, no, it'll be good. He gets the body slam. Take him down. It's Sarah now the next target for the Saigon Jokers. Safety will take him down, abusing, well, taking advantage of the fact, I should say, that HQ Fighter were so confident in that 2-man push that he just put a 5-man stack in that bottom lane to take them down. Now it's going to be Jax and Lisa in the buddy system combo trying to take down Baron by themselves. Let's see if Saigon Jokers catch wind of this, that this is going on. They have no idea the HQ Fighter are attending for this Baron. They're still trying to fight around the Wraith area here. It didn't look like Lulu was trying to hold them off, but this should be a successful Baron for them. Saigon Jokers have no idea the HQ Fighter were able to take this one.
Yeah, and in usual circumstances, this is really defined as high risk, high reward. It was a 2-man Baron attempt. Jax did not have Blade of the Ruin King completed as well, so there's no percentage HP damage dealt on his end. But still, it took a long time, but they finally took it down for themselves. The Baron buff up, Albus now going against Nixwater here.
Nixwater in a lot of trouble. He does get the clear lance assassination. Mr. Albus making full use of the fact that now you cannot get the double glitter lance proc. Uses glitter lance first, then uses the health picks, and then another glitter lance to take down Nixwater. 3 abilities, 1.5 spell rotations is all he needs to take down Nixwater there. And HQ Fighter looks stronger and stronger with each passing minute. They're now 10,000 gold ahead of the Saigon Jokers.
I was pretty sure what happened, while the Baron happened. RD and Ysara actually got caught out in the bomb lane. I was pretty sure that was a mistake, but good shot calling from HQ Fighter to actually convert that into a global objective in the form of Baron. And all that little extra stats that Baron actually brings actually gave Albus the edge to just close out against Nixwater, which means that you know, there's pretty much nothing much that Saigon Jokers can do to actually, you know, protect their outer turrets here. So I think they might have to just give this out over to Jackson.
Lantier here does get caught out. The zap will slow him down. Has to safeguard off Sarah, who plays safety backwards. Lantis going back in, takes it back into the team. Tidal wave comes out. Archie trying to take him down, not quite able to do so though. Still has that super mega death rocket though. He may end up going for a snipe, decides to hold that ability back and save it for a rainy day there, but AHQ final lands here. There we go, Superman Death Rocket landing onto Lantier up in the top lane. Not able to take him down though. But Fighter once again, Lantier was incredibly aggressive there, had no health to go in for that play. Decided to do so anyway and worked out for his team.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice moment actually if you look at it. Lantier got caught out and then, you know, he just safeguarded back to Ysera. Got caught with the death sentence and the box, and then we did see Lantier go full ham in that one and kicking Goni back into the box as well.
You see Goni actually getting completely caught out by AHQ Fighter once again, and it's just been the story of this game so far. It's been AHQ Fighter creating picks inside Saigon Joker's half of the jungle, and from there taking objective after objective and getting small amounts of gold leads and stacking them up. And while we do have a break in terms of the plays coming in so far, we're actually going to see Jax get jumped on, gets the Dark Stab, hashes anything. But I just got news as well that the fourth game of tonight will be postponed to a later date.
Oh, wow.
That date we're unsure of for when it will be, but we'll have more information on that later on after this match. So this will be the third and final game of the first day of the Garena Premier League, but we'll have more on that after this game. But for now, HQ Fighter going for a push onto this top lane inhibitor. It's going to be Sarah and Jax trying to take this one down. The rest of the team is grouped around the bottom and mid side of the base, trying to pressure where they can, trying to draw the attention away from this top lane inhibitor, which Jax is happily battering down with Sarah. Now, Goni and Safety have been rotating up. Albus now is here as well, trying to push this one down. It's a 3-2 split here. It's going to be Uzi, takes a lot of damage from one combo coming out of Lucian, and Archie tanking a bit of the culling as well.
So effectively, this is a 2-3 split push in the furthest lane, the top lane as well as the bottom lane. So with that little resources,
though, Goni's gonna get locked down as Uzi jumps on. Uzi gets jumped on by Jax. Nick's water now, getting battered by the Jax, who has that wild growth, getting that double kill. Now Goni will get hooked by Ysera, knocks him backwards. That will be the kill coming in from Lucian. This should be game for AHQ Fighter. They'll take the third and final game of tonight in week 2, day number 1 of the Garena Premier League. And for safety measures, they pick Archie back, adding salt into the wounds of the Saigon Jokers, taking down that final member for the 8th. This will be game for AHQ Fighter. They pick up the win against the veterans of the Garena Premier League. Congratulations on a well-fought game for them, and I have to give that game to Ysera for creating so many picks for fighters inside the jungle of the Saigon Jokers.
Not only that, Lantier played pretty well as well. We see the multiple kickbacks for Saigon Jokers into his own team, and you know, all these little interactions playing out for the you know, AHQ Fighter squad tonight just means another solid victory for themselves. 17-7 in terms of kill counts. Pretty much not much objectives picked up for Saigon Jokers as well. They had the idea drafted out for this disengage heavy composition, but HQ Fighters just had the better chemistry, the better coordinations to make those picks happen, despite the tools that Saigon Jokers had.
And that pretty much was the story of the game. It was basically HQ Fighters catching Saigon Jokers off guard time and time again inside Saigon Jokers' own jungle. From there, rotating in order to take objectives, towers, and eventually pushing into the nexus of the Saigon Jokers base. And that is the final game of tonight. The the War Gods match will be postponed to a later date. That date has not been confirmed yet, but this is due to the fact that the Philippines in general is experiencing incredibly bad internet connection to any of the servers that they could play on right now, and thus unable to continue with their match. It's unfortunate for them. That match will be postponed to a later date, but let's take a look at what tomorrow's matches will be, I believe, for the Garena Premier League. So we should be bringing that one up on your screen very shortly. First off, we'll have New Evolution Esports Full Lewis taking on AHQ Esports Club, and then we'll have Azubu Taipei Assassins taking on ISG Legends.
Following that, we will have the AHQ Esports main team going up against ISG Rebirth, and to wrap things up, Imperium Pro Team going up against a HQ Fighters.
So that will be at GMT +8 Singapore Malaysia time at 6 o'clock start for the first match. And let's have a look at the other regions ball for Central Europe. That'll be a 12 o'clock start for the first game, 12 in the afternoon for Central European time. And finally, we also have time, PDD time, which will be 3 a.m. in the morning for Los Angeles, USA. So those will be the matches for the Greener Premier League tomorrow. And unfortunately, that will be the third and final game of the night. Unfortunately, Morgans, as we said, their game will be postponed due to some poor connection coming in from their side onto all servers that they could potentially play on for the Greener Premier League. And with that, that'll be a wrap from us here at the Cassius. This was Chris and Fish here signing off. And behalf